everybody, I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. What's happening? So, just a quick side note. Old Aaron won a strike claim against the cult of Scientology. That's got to make you happy. That has just got to make you happy. He went through one of their videos and did a commentary on it, and they hit him with a strike. Somebody from an Aussie. I mean, obviously it's the church. They just get one of their people to do it. But some Aussie filed on it. And he didn't take it down. He said, you know what, prove it, whatever. And yet again, he won. I love it when that happens. That one just cracks me up. Brandon, good to see you, man. Vixen, how are you? Glad you're here. Patrick's good to see you. Christy Caldwell, queen of the normies. Snotface, Henny. Boy, we got a lot of people here. And, as always, the cat is in the basket. Actually, not always. She's been kind of hit or miss lately, but Squirrel is now chilling big time in the basket. So we're good as far as that goes. Hey, Biz, good to see you, my brother. I am doing well, thank you. Sharon, hey Sharon, just do me a favor and put a thumbs up if you got my email, please. And if you didn't, you need to go check your email, please. Hey, Pookie Woos, good to see you. You know what? You can't be mad at your neurotypical husband. I am sometimes blown away at this too. I honestly can see where people would look at this and go, I don't get it. I mean, I do really, really get that. Hello, welcome. I don't know that I've ever seen you here on a live. If I have, well, welcome again. But good to see you. Yarn Prepper, glad you're here. Michelle R., good to see you. So, are you guys getting sick of me yet or what? We're putting up an awful lot of content this December. And I'm doing it by demand. I really am. A lot of people have asked that we do as much of this as we can for the month of December. That having the ability to come together and talk in the comments section while I go, wah, 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 like Charlie Brown's teacher in the background, gives us an opportunity for everybody to come together. I'm all over it, man. I'll do it. We'll do it for the month. This is a rugged month, man. There's something to this. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's something to this. It is common for recovering addicts to go down the rabbit hole in conspiracy theories. Oh, is it common? Yeah, there is. There's something to this. But you know what it is? This is my theory on this, okay? What happens is that your brain wakes up, right? It's kind of like getting red pilled, in its own right. I mean, when you spend your entire life doped up, even if you're not I mean, my stories are really over the top, right? But you could be somebody that drinks 6 beers a day. You're not out of control, but you require that you drink 6 beers every single day. You're knocking a whole lot of brain power off of what it would normally be doing. This is my humble opinion, because I have watched so many people get sober. And it's, for some people, it's conspiracy theory stuff. That's easy on the net because deep dives take you in directions and your brain starts to work and you start to seek out knowledge, which is something that people who get sober often do. And very often, this is why I say to people, it is so important that you round out your life. You have some hobbies, you have some things that you're involved in other than simply being sober and working, right? Because that's probably the least healthy game plan that you can come up with. Oh boy. Oh boy. Sorry. Gotta give this one. Don't let me bother you. I'm sorry. I was just I was doing the lifeboat show, but I'll get back to you too, love birds. It's all good. I like mocking her every once in a while. No, that's somebody that is very often on the lifeboat but isn't now, and sent me a text that was meant for somebody else, and that's always funny. No, thank you. I'm glad that you're here. I mean that. So yeah, for some people it's conspiracies. Some people get into it, but it's that you're now excited for life, right? When you're doing dope, we lose a great deal of our wonder and a great deal of almost everything. Sharon, that does mean you got my email. Thank you, hon. Glad. And I'm glad to hear that it lifted your soul. That's a beautiful thing. The term conspiracy theory was developed by the three-letter agency that starts with a C. I think that there might be something to that. I really do. I think it's in their favor. And I think that a great number of conspiracies are just not theories anymore. You know what I mean? Iran-Contra comes to mind. You know, the Iran-Contra affair was absolutely considered a conspiracy theory that turned out not to be a conspiracy theory, right? And if we can go all the way back to World War II, right? We knew Pearl Harbor was coming. This is no longer a debatable issue. That's difficult, right? And you start to realize that there's an awful lot about our country that ain't cricket, you know? There's just a lot about our country that I love our country. I do. I love America. I don't love its government, and I don't trust it at all. I don't trust it at all. And I don't trust the press, right? So I think it can take you down in that direction. I think it can. And the last thing in the world I want to do is get off on a political rant. So I'm not going to, I promise. But I don't trust the government. So as someone that was coming out of 30 years of being in a fog, I did a lot of reading. Right, I did a lot of reading, and what I read was mostly primarily nonfiction. So, yeah, the Monty. Tell you what, though, come back on Tuesday, because on Tuesday we will be doing Conspiracy Theory Tuesday. I'm going to do this from now on. Tinfoil Hat Tuesday is fun. It really is. It's an interesting thing to talk about. If you guys have ever seen a show, or listened to a show called Coast to Coast AM, right? This has the largest follower. It has the largest. There is not a radio show on planet Earth that has more people listening to it than Coast to Coast AM. It goes on very, very late at night, and it was started by a guy named Art Bell. And a lot of you are Art Bell fans. You guys know Art Bell. And Art Bell was great because he would bring people on that had the most ridiculous things in the world to say, right? Yeah, see, Ron Bell, Ben Turner gets it. But he would bring on these people that had stories that were just bizarre, right? They had been, abducted, or they had been whatever. And instead of mocking them like everybody else did that ever did one of these shows, he treated them like what they were saying was legit. He'd get to the end and say something like, you can understand why people might doubt this. But he was always super respectful. And he gave people a platform. And when he sold out, and he was replaced and then tragically died of a opiate overdose. He killed himself with pain medication. But the people who took over Coast to Coast started to make it a little bit more mainstream. There's still some pretty wild stuff that they talk about on Coast to Coast, but it's a little less so. And they bring on a lot. They have guests now that are far more mainstream. And what you come to realize because of how they're doing this now is that a great number of those things really do turn out to be fact. If you wish to remain innocent, don't watch Gaia, says Rolling Stone. Well, I have. Look, there are people on this planet. You understand that there are people on this planet who believe in a red and a blue pill concept, right? That you take that red pill and you start to realize that we live in a world that you didn't think you lived in, and there is something to this, people. Again, one of the affectations of having about 8 or 9 years on your hands, right, to do absolutely nothing with. I did a lot of reading, and I wasn't reading books. A lot of what I was reading was just Freedom of Information Act stuff, FOIA information, and go ahead and do it. Do some FOIA. If you've never done it, you want to have some fun, like for real, reach out and do a Freedom of Information request, and request stuff on something that you're fascinated by, like and I'll warn you what they're going to do, right? They're going to absolutely inundate. Like if there's 30 pages of good stuff, they're going to send you 9,000 pages. Most of it's going to have nothing to do with what you looked up, and you got to go through it. And so much is redacted, it takes a lot of effort. But it was really an adventure. And I read some stuff about some pretty heavy cases, because that's the kind of thing that we were requesting. Oh no, you know what? This is really, really, really a great comment, and I'm so glad that you said it. Hey guys, my wife is pregnant. When my ex-wife was pregnant with my first kid was my last relapse. My mother had been dying at the time, and I'm very scared that this amazing news might trigger something. And you know what? It can. So it's fantastic that you've got what really is a kind of a golden opportunity, right? Because you're ahead of the curve. There's a lot of people who don't realize the fact that really great news is as dangerous as really bad news. And it is, to be sure, because once again, we're not used to baseline. Capiche? Like our baseline's messed up. Our baseline's not other people's. We're not used to being in a state of normal or happy. We're used to being in a state of kind of messed up. So if you know this going in, right, the most important thing in the world, I promise you want the key to sobriety, people, in a sentence? Here's the key to sobriety. If you want to stay sober, you vow that you are going to call somebody that you care about before you call the dope man. You vow that you are going to call a loved one before you drive to the liquor store. If you make that call, you will never relapse. People who relapse do not make that call. It's that simple. Nobody calls their sponsor, right, and then goes and gets high. Sponsors will stay on the phone until the sun comes up, right? Sponsors don't hang up. I've talked people through some rugged times. But if you want to stay sober, right, you know you're ahead of this. When you start feeling this much out of whack, and I'll tell you this right now too, and this goes for everybody. If you're worried at all about relapse, then start freaking journaling. You want to stay sober, get a damn journal and write in it when you get up in the morning, first thing that comes to your head. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't have to make sense, just write it down, trust me. You're clearing your head of what you didn't dream right the night before, just get it out. And then at the end of the day, do the exact same thing. Do an info dump or whatever's in your head, get it out, right? Dump that stuff. Because two things are going to happen. You're not going to walk around with unprocessed crap that's going on in your head, right? The night crew and the day crew, you got all of that stuff out. You're not walking around with jumbled mess in your dome. The second thing that it does is, if you start feeling a little strange, you go back to the journal and you start reading, and you'll figure out where you jumped off the rack. But let me tell you something. This should be, right, the most exciting thing in the entire world. Truthfully and honestly, the entire, this is the top of the food chain. Tommy Bird, y'all got watches. Well, I don't sell watches on the Lifeboat. I do sell watches. Send me an email, sober@myyahoo.com, sober@myyahoo.com, and let me know what you're interested in. I got a ton of watches. Let me know what kinds you're into, and chances are I've got them. From Rolex to Timex and everything in between. Send me an email, sober@myyahoo.com. My attempts at journaling often turn into to-do lists. There's not anything wrong with that. However, if you get into the habit of journaling first thing in the morning and right before you go to bed, and you do it at the exact same time every single day, that will stop. And you can give yourself prompts. I know that this is hard for as a concept, but if you're struggling with journaling, give yourself a prompt. Do it from something from elementary school or high school. The example I always give is list out every teacher you can remember the name of and some characteristic about them. They were kind, they were a jerk, they hit kids, they yelled at kids, kids didn't like them, kids called them this, kids called them that. Because what it's going to do is it's going to start the process of you writing about things from your past in a very innocuous way. But all of a sudden you start writing these things down and you're like, oh, I remember that one teacher that was just a jerk and she was always picking on this guy, Mike. You know what? That dude, Mike, said something to me. I'm telling you, you begin to unravel things and memories will come back that you have done everything within your power to suppress since you were younger. And they don't have to be rugged, bad, horrible things. No, I do not sell fakes. No, I do not sell, I don't sell anything fake. I don't deal in fake watches. And not because I have anything against somebody but that industry, the people that manufacture that stuff, fake watches is a really, really bad thing, believe it or not. It seems like something that would be a harmless crime, and it's not. Yep, be my boyfriend, I make you fat. That sounds like a heck of a trade-off there, right? You know what, V? Starts to smell that a little janky. L. Jane Clifton Roselle, good to see you. Glad that you're here. no sir required. But I do appreciate it. It's good to see you. Ian, glad you're here. So, there was a question earlier that talked about handing off of a giving your child the genetic predisposition to addiction. That people worry about this. I'm telling you right now, it is happening. You understand? It's happening. It's just plain and simple. Tommy, my hubby is now hooked. He loved your interview with Bryce. Oh, well, that's very cool. I love that. I really do. Yeah, V, that's my girl. Veal wield a wrench. She's not scared. Not scared at all. You know what? Here's the deal with me. Very often, if people sit down and listen for a little while, there's something that they're going to find interesting. I had a very unusual life, and not, most of the things that boxing, Bo Box. Goodbye, my brother. I'm glad that you were here. It's been fun. How you doing with your channel, bro? Did you bust 138? Good for you, man. See, Bo's a little bummed out because I took a shot at him in a previous video, right? And he's never missed a video of mine. So he's got to make a new ID, then he's got to come in here. But what happened is this cat can't get the wind at his back because he's a mean person and he's a racist, right? I don't do racists. I don't. You hate somebody based on anything, right? Other than who they are as a person, you're an ignorant piece of shit. Sorry, but that's really how it goes. So for those people, you know what? Have a good one. We are weak on likes. I'll take a couple. I really will. I'll take a couple. Tommy Bird. Let me see, what did I miss? By the way, for all of you that if you happen to catch that, I wasn't born Tommy Scoville, and there are people who seem to think this is a scoop, right? My brother who eats peppers for a living doesn't just happen to have the last name Scoville. It was a stage name, which a lot of people on YouTube do to protect their teen kids, which is what I did. So, but they think they got a scoop. You know what I mean? Because people just show up here, right? And they don't realize that I've been telling you guys my life story, right? For 1,500 hours or whatever the hell we're up to. So it's what trolls smell like. Thank you, Ben. Right. They are, they're fun. They really are. And in a way, they're fun because when it's over, right, dude's gone. He can never leave another comment, right? And we get a chuckle because I've never met a troll that wasn't a failed YouTuber. And in a way, that's kind of a bummer, right? Because I'd love it. Honestly, I'd love it if everybody succeeded at what they do. But there are some people that just don't. And then they bum out and they take shots and they do what they do. But you know what? It's a form of connection. I'll tell you something, people. Here's a concept that somebody ran by me today. That I really found kind of heavy. I was talking to somebody today, and they were talking about the attempts that we make as human beings to get through this thing called life. And we've talked about how it can lead you into cults, and we've talked about how it can lead you into drugs. And, there are people who become really into working out. Like, have you ever seen the people that just chisel their body? And I don't mean the competition bodybuilders, but the people that just really get into it, where every single muscle is obsessed over, and they read about the stuff. And everything we do is an attempt at peace. Everything we do is an attempt for us to feel peace on this planet. And sadly, even the people that unalive themselves, right? It's the final attempt at peace. It's a terrible thing. And the longer that I am here, the longer I'm here, the more I realize that there's just so much to this connection thing. There really is. There's so much to it. Tommy, I'm a pepper eater. You eat 10, I'll eat 11. I'll always eat one more than the next. Always win. You know who I am, Jane? Do you know? Let me get my brother on board. Let's see. I'd love to. You probably, honestly, no joke, the greatest pepper eaters I've ever met are all women. That is the truth. Wait a sec. You weren't born Sling Blade. Oh, I don't know, man. Now I'm kind of bummed. I really thought you were a Sling Blade. I had an ex-wife, and if I did the Sling Blade voice, she wouldn't talk to me for hours. somehow I found out that she really did dislike that movie, and I'd go, I really like them French fried potatoes, like that kind of thing. She would get, I mean, like she would get to the point where she would throw things at you angry. She really didn't like that film. Um, yeah, women kick the guys' butts on hot ones. Well, there's a lot of truth to that, and I don't know if you've ever seen the Queen. Uh, the UK chili queen is just you've never seen anybody eat peppers like that woman. It's absolutely unbelievable. I had to pay for the shipping on FOIA. I did not have to pay for the paperwork and the printing and all that. All I had to pay for was shipping. Um, there you go. Sounded like an inspiration for a song. There you go. Everything we do is an attempt at peace. I mean that is what we do, right? Um, Nacho's mom, I like that. I dig that you like that. I really do, and I get it. I tried having this conversation with my ex. I was like, what about the relationship? She didn't get past this. Like that was, I promise you that was it. I planted 11 pepper plants today in my raised bed. Nice. See this? The world becomes a better place. I'll tell you what, I would love to take on Pepper X with my brother. We have said for a very long period of time that we very much would like to eat Pepper X. Unfortunately, he doesn't hand that out, which is a really odd thing, right? If I had the hottest pepper on planet Earth, I assure you I'd want people to eat it. I wouldn't say that I'm just going to make sauce out of it. And if you're really into peppers, I'd like to see a mustard pod that gets hotter than. The guy that made that doesn't eat a lot of pods. I'm not being a disrespectful guy. I'm not. But I promise you, Pepper X ain't what they say Pepper X is. If it was, we'd all be eating it. Just, it is what it is. Right? I had a friend that used to take women's stockings, right? And he would go to a barber shop and he would get human hair and he would put them in women's stockings and he would tie them to the bottom of his plants. And apparently the smell of the human would keep little, rodents and predators and whatnot from getting in there and eating the crop. So I don't know. It was a weed thing, but he said it used to work. Ah, hello from the other side of the pond. I love it when people check in from other parts of the world. That is the coolest thing in the entire world. It really is. I love that. I love that we're all over the place, man. It just goes to show that we're the same. We really are the same in every society. It's funny how something like the fact that you can't get sober makes you realize real quick how much we're just like a Russian that can't get sober, or just like a Jew that can't get sober, or just like anybody else that can't get sober. Black, white, yellow, purple, green, right? You can't get sober. You can't get sober. I tend to believe as my brother, I would never argue with my brother. I really wouldn't. Here's the thing about, I'm just going to keep it real. When you get into the super, super hots, like the Carolina Reaper to me, and even the Primatale, the way they burn is very different, right? Every pepper burns differently in your mouth. If you ever just sit and eat the peppers that are the hottest peppers in the world, they burn you differently. And the Carolina Reaper has a flavor that I am not a fan of. Like, it is bitter as hell. And it burns the back of your throat in a way that you just can't explain. It's very centered. Like, all of the pain is right in the throat. And I'm just not a big fan of that pepper. I really am not. I'm not a really big fan of getting burned by peppers in the first place. I just got screwed into being Johnny Scoville's little brother, And that's just the way it is. You know what? Sometimes, if you mean you don't want to make people sharing, sometimes we have to get sad so that we can help each other. That's part of this gig. It is. There are people who come here and talk about really, really personal things that are difficult, and sometimes it really hurts to hear. But we don't suffer in silence, right? That's the rule. We don't suffer in silence. We took an oath. I think everybody agreed to not suffer in silence. Scotch bonnet has the best flavor for me. Don, you know what? Yeah, I like the ghost pepper. The ghost pepper has always been the one that the taste for me is the best on. Um, let alone those rotten egg sandwiches. Can you believe he did that to me, man? That was the stupidest concept to me. I cannot believe we made that. Um, oh God, it was so bad, so bad. It's just disgusting. Um, yeah, you know what? I don't want anyone to be in pain. Okay, sorry, I missed it. I don't want to, but you know what? This is what we do. There are things that we cannot control, right? We do serenity prayers. I don't care if you believe in God or not. The serenity prayer rocks, right? Take God out of it. Say whatever you want, right? I need to. How's that? I need to realize what I can change, what I can't, and be smart enough, right? To deal with all of that. Those things that I need to be at peace, right? It's really what we're all after, is just being at peace. Miss Dragon, you made me laugh earlier. It was something you said over in the I can't even remember what it is now, but I was laughing. You said something really funny. Now I got to find it. You know what? It's not professional YouTubing, but this is what happens when you do 5 of these things in a day. You know what I mean? You start getting punchy. But she's really, really funny. See, now I can't find it. I'll find it and I'll send it to you because it made me laugh and I dug it. Zenwen! Good to see you, Z-Dub. I'm glad that you're here. I can eat a pepper, not an olive black. I don't do olives. Yeah, we get along. I don't do olives. I can't stand olives. You don't know who the raccoon whisperer is? Snotface, you've been on deck with him forever. I am the noise opera is the raccoon whisperer. How did you not? I thought for sure both of you guys knew that. That's crazy. Life can become much easier when you realize you don't even control the beats of your own heart. Boy, there's something to that, huh? You know, 40,000 to 50,000 Scoville units is a nice pepper. You know that? Martha, for real. That's a nice pepper. That's enough punch that it burns you and you can still enjoy it. You're not going to honestly, you're not going to cook with a Carolina Reaper. I mean, if you're a chili head, maybe, but even as a chili head, like I want my food not to burn me. Like I'll burn for the sake of burning if I want to, but I don't want my food to kill me. Really? Well, do tell. There's the noise opera. See? Ask and ye shall receive. That is the raccoon whisperer right there. He is absolutely the man for I don't know anyone that knows more about raccoons or is into more of them. Joni says, I am looking for a therapist for my mental and emotional pain. A doctor for my physical pain. Good for you. Shop around. Go in and talk to the person. Sit down and ask them questions. What's your philosophy on this? Right? How do you do what you do? Ask them questions. These people we're handing a really massive responsibility to. We're going to tell these people things about our deepest, darkest secrets, right? You're going to tell them what's bothering you. That's a really hard thing to do. So shop around. Don't get a therapist you dislike. Fire them and get another one nicely. Just keep talking to one until you're going to feel it. I promise you. There's a woman from Nevada that's just incredible. And the first time I sat down in her office, I knew we were good, right? She was a super open person about herself. She said, I don't talk about myself, but I will tell you I'm a recovered addict. And I was like, oh, right off the bat, I didn't have to try to explain things and I knew she was going to understand things I was talking about, which for me was important. It doesn't have to be that way for everybody, but for me it was important because that's really what I was working on. And what's funny is when I was done and I didn't have to go back to her anymore because I was ordered by the federal government to go see her. When she said, this guy doesn't have a drug problem, like he's the lifeboat guy. You're kind of wasting your time. I said to them, if you're willing to continue to pay, I'll go and see her anyway. And I will just go for different reasons. So what I did is I went in there and I talked to her about the boat. I talked to her about the stresses of doing what I'm doing. I talked to her about, she got me through the people that have not made it. Not everybody makes it. And I spend a lot of time talking to people that are professionals. I think everybody should. There you go. Rolling Stone gets it. In my humble opinion, therapists are either angels or demons, just like the rest of the medical field. That's it. It's absolutely right. You get a good therapist, it is fantastic. If you get a bad therapist, let's see, Ruby, right? that woman that has absolutely destroyed Ruby Frankie, that's a bad therapist, and it can destroy the lives. We're going to be doing this, people. I promise you. I'm not gonna roll into it now, but Hildebrand, the woman that is the counselor in that case, therapist, it's one of the most evil things you will ever hear. When I do this case, you guys are going to want this woman off the planet. Like, she's bad people. The doctor said I am an open person, just not with you. It was no, it was great. It was I liked the fact that she was willing to let me know she had been where I had been. And every once in a while, like I remember once talking about putting in, I was complaining because I was putting in artificial lawn at my house, and I was really, really bummed out about it. And as I was bringing it up, she was like, "Oh my God, my husband's doing that right now." And we kind of went off on a side, tangent, which we would do occasionally, but she was a professional. She's just really good at what she does and could guide me through problems. It was really kind of a big deal. Whoa, look at that. Huh? The other captain is in the house. Captain on bridge, I think they say. Mark Wages, how are you, my brother? Glad that you're here. People, if you've never hit subscribe, you're going to be seeing Mark this week. He's going to come on and talk to us about the effects that space weather can have on the human being. And I'll tell you what, if you know Mark, then you really start getting an appreciation for what space weather does to you. Because if not, you probably don't know about it, right? But like when I would really be screwing up, it so often would correlate to things that were going on with our son. But Mark has, I have joked and said he has made it so simple that even a Scoville can understand it. My brother and I both watch him and get it, and we're not science guys, but Mark's a lot of fun to watch. And if we have a huge, epic sunburst coming our way that has the potential to do damage, you're going to know about it if you are subscribed to Wages World, because he is monitoring everything that's going on in the sun at all times and knows a hell of a lot about drugs and rehabilitation. And there wouldn't be a boat without him. So it's always great when he's here. He is the bobblehead, my bobbleheaded partner. I'm sorry, what? I love you too, Mark. One therapist asked me why I was so worried about my son who was deployed in Iraq. What do you think could happen to him? I almost went over his desk. I would have. I kid you not, I would have. That man's an idiot. That man's an idiot. That's a bad counselor. I'm not joking. That's a terrible therapist. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, right? Even V says, "Oh my God, Roland, so lame. That person does not need to be a therapist." No, that person needs to be disbarred, right? They need to have their license suspended. I am sorry to hear that. I am really sorry to hear that. On the bright side, you are one tough chick, right? But one tough chick says, "Hey, people, my anxiety level is still way through the roof. Not exactly sure why. It's probably a product of being the holiday season. Bad stuff has happened to me and my husband during this month." Have you done anything where you just sit down and breathe? Honestly, I struggle. I struggle with anxiety, right? Because I spent my whole life drugged. And I spent my whole life drugged on the ultimate relaxer. So when I removed the ultimate relaxer from my life, right? I wasn't doing crack, I was doing heroin. So when I removed the ultimate relaxer from my life, I find that my anxiety is always a little bit higher than just the base level person's anyway, right? And I tend to have a really short fuse. And it's something that when I find myself starting with my anxiety level, if I get away from everybody, leave this thing in a room away where I am not, and I can sit down and just try to really get some deep breaths into my lungs. And I don't mean meditating. I will talk about meditating. When I do, know this: I can't clear my mind. Right? I don't know if we've had this conversation before, crew. I can't clear my mind. I can't. I'm so bad at this that it's tough. It's a frustrating thing. Um, Misha, did you catch that one? Misha will get a kick out of that. There is a hold on. Here we go. This is always good for a laugh too. And there we go. They may have been blocked, but let's have a little fun with Zeus. Zeus says, the lifeboat. Did you beat the cockfighting charges from earlier this year? So I was arrested earlier this year for cockfighting. Well, I'll be damned. That's one for the records right there, because I'm an animal lover, and I have not even gone to cockfights, much less run one, which I assume you would have to do in order to be arrested. I'm guessing you probably Googled the name, got somebody with the same name. Why don't you see their height and weight? Check that one out, because nobody ever seems to be big, right? They're all usually little guys. Check height and weight. I'm guessing you're not going to come across 6'2", over 200 pounds. I assure you, I didn't get arrested for cockfighting this year. All right, Michelle R. Cockfighting. Good Lord, of all of the things, that is just downright funny. That really is. This year, too. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but I've been on federal probation, right? If I had gotten arrested for cockfighting, I'd be back in prison. Genius. Good Lord. It's the dogs that upset me. You know what? I don't like chickens much, but I don't think we should let them go out that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I eat meat, but I'd kind of like to think that the animals go out as painlessly as possible. I don't want to be part of causing any more destruction or hurt or suffering. I just as soon avoid that. But anybody that watches anything suffer for entertainment is a piece of, well, you know my stance on this. You enjoy watching somebody suffer or watching an animal suffer? I don't think you're much above that dude going to prison right now, if you really want to know the truth. And I know it's a cultural thing or whatever, but you know what? I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. I got a love for animals. I just don't. I don't get my rocks off watching things suffer. I don't know, right? I guess I'm soft. Yeah. So how funny is it that the Whisperer is in the building and you guys didn't even know it? See that? Noise Opera's a rock star. I'm telling you, dude, something. So as far as the meditation thing goes, I can't do it. I can't clear my mind. So I read this book on a concept of not trying to clear the mind, just trying to not spend more than 2 or 3 seconds on any one thought, which I have gotten really good at, right? Like that kind of meditation, I could sit down and go ripping through and feel, excellent about. And I do that kind of meditation all the time. And it takes the pressure. It takes the pressure of meditation off of you. You understand? Even if you're just sitting in a room that's dark trying to meditate, right? That is a beautiful thing. And jumping from one, that's what usually happens in my mind anyway. So by not spending a decent period of time on any one subject, I get kind of the same kind of it lowers my anxiety level amazingly. It's really funny that you should say that. We actually have a rule here. That is rule number 4. Rule number 4 is mean people suck. And if you violate rule number 4, you're gone. Right? You're gone. Plain and simple. It's I don't dig mean people. I don't. My neurospicy brain is just being extra spicy lately. Well, around here, We like spicy. Christy C can help you get cerebral. Oh, see, this is good. No, I like this. This is good. This is really good. Mischief Managed says, Tommy, trying to meditate brings in the ants. Okay. Like I was saying, if you try to relieve any thought, don't fight the ants. If the ants come on while you're doing like the way I meditate, if the ants come on, and they do, because if you realize that we have 80,000, right, 60,000, whatever thoughts a day, but they say 80% of those are recurring thoughts. Recurring thoughts are never positive, right? No one, oh, I know I am, Michelle. No, here's the funny thing. Michelle Carter says, Zeus is probably with Osa since you support Aaron, you're getting fair gamed. There's a little of that's going on. There is. But no, these are just trolls that haven't liked me since the very first time I started the channel. I had the guts to say that this was a disease, right? And a couple of racist rednecks took they had a problem with that. They had a problem with the disease concept because, damn it, cancer's a disease, right? Drinking's not a disease. Yeah. It was a bunch of deep thinkers, you know what I'm saying? Guys not burdened by deep thought. And, again, failures. And they don't like me and they don't like my brother. So they'll be around. I got really good wrenches. They'll whack them out and those guys can go and create another account, right? We'll get rid of that one. Lord Kiss Freak. No. It burns 3 times, brother. It burns 3 times. Don't let anybody fool you, right? Don't let anybody fool you. It burns 3 times. You get your mouth, right? You get your stomach, and then you get and then you're done with the third and final is rugged. 4 million will do it. That's a youch. Woo. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself, Chili Phil. I am not burning myself tonight. I don't know if you guys remember when Alan Ballantyne was here, I said to him, I'll do 2 peppers to every pepper you do. Oh man, I'm not doing anything stupid like that ever again. You know, I thought this is my homeboy. He's over from Alaska. I tell him I'm going to do 2 to 1. I figure the guy eats 2 peppers. I eat 4 peppers. Life's good. He sits down and rifles through like 5 of them. I'm like, what are you doing? You know what? This happens a lot. You know what, Misha? I love you. Misha rocks. Do you know why Misha's saying this, people? I'm going to tell you why Misha's saying this. Because Misha doesn't do bad research. All right? That jackwagon that just came by and asked if I had done any cockfighting, well, she found it too. All right? Except she reached out and said, hey, man, oh man, this please tell me this isn't you. Because that's what friends do. And I said, good Lord, no. Right? I said, no, look at dates. And we went over some stuff. Height and weight was a big one, by the way. This is not a big man that was doing this. And it took place somewhere in California, but it sure as hell wasn't me. But, I mean, good Lord. Yeah. You do good research. It's funny. It really is. Tabasco and Crystal are my limit. Tabasco and... I am a fan of Tabasco, by the way. My favorite sauce of all time is Tabasco Green. I think Tabasco Green is the perfect hot sauce. It's not going to burn the heck out of you, right? It's not. And it's a good flavor. And anybody can like it. I mean, yeah, it's not a burn. But if you want to burn, eat something hot. But if you're looking for taste, I think that's really one of the best. And I'm not just trying to pitch my brother and Foy but I love Penango. On my brother's hot sauce, the Penango, on ice cream. And that's one of my favorite ways to do hot sauce, by the way, is on ice cream. That's really, like if you get like a dessert sauce, a really hot one that's got blueberry or whatever, and you put it on ice cream, oh man, that's just the way to do it. It really is the way to do it. My mouth is watering. Absolutely there are. Absolutely there are. Here's the thing. I can't quiet my mind enough, but I swear to you, I get so much out of meditation where I don't quiet my mind. It is people sitting down. So when the automatic negative thoughts come, I embrace them straight up. So I'm sitting there and I'm doing my meditation, and a thought comes in that goes, you know what, you're a loser. And it's just a matter of time before you end up slipping up. You've done this every time in your life. I go, huh? I go, huh? What are we talking about? I'll literally pump the brakes. Turn it on, turn it around. I've said this a million times, and I know that people think I am being funny. I do positive affirmations. I do. And if I'm sitting there and I'm doing that kind of meditation and a thought comes in that is along those lines, I'm going to literally sit there and go, you know what? I'm a winner. I am. This is the time that, I remain sober for the rest of my time on this planet. I've already made it through the really, really tough stuff. From here on out, this should be easy. Meditation is like herding chickens with a leaf blower. That's one of the all-time funniest things I've ever heard. Meditation is like herding chickens with a leaf blower. And doggone it, people like me. Correct. I don't even mind, man. When Q started me off on the whole daily affirmation things, people, I struggled with it because you do feel like Stuart Smalley. But there is something to be said for it. There really is. Booyah. Booyah, booyah, booyah. Positive affirmations are great, especially when you repeat them after saying something negative about yourself. It's a fact. It is. It's an absolute fact. Awakened by the Looking Glass just put up a link to Need a Meeting. People, if you haven't gone over and checked out Need a Meeting, you should. They're doing really cool stuff over there. And Miss Dragon just does amazing stuff. Her videos are fun, and she just does good stuff. I understand where you're coming from because I've heard this from a lot of people. But this is the way I look at it. Let's say it's not a disease, right? Let's say it's not a disease. So I need to overcome something that really isn't understood at all. Prior to the disease thing, this was hard for me because what I had was what then? I was weak. I don't have enough self-control, evil, like all the things seriously that people say. You're just not a good member of society. Certainly not, godlike, because you can't be godlike and be doing drugs. So there's all these things that people kind of stack up on that. For me, when this was proved to be an addiction, I'm like, so I got a medical condition that there's a friggin' treatment for, right? Like I just literally need to get treated for what I got, right? To me, that was a piece, is what that was. But I understand where you're coming from because I hear people say this. But it's treatable. Diseases are treatable. There is a course of action that you can take for a disease. But when it's evil or it's lack of self-control or lack of willpower or all of those things that people talk about, I assure you, people, willpower doesn't send you to the front door of a bank, right? I do look at the willpower it takes to do what I do on this channel, right? Like I can crank out willpower. Trust and believe I can crank out willpower. I learned to do backflips on skis without anything there to catch you, right? I did it on snow. We didn't have foam pits. We didn't have trampolines. We went out there and just threw them until, you could land them, right? I don't have a problem with sticking to it, right? I really have a great control over my willpower, like my stick-to-itiveness, but I could not have the willpower to stop doing dope. And that was painful to me. And I thought that I was someone who maybe was evil for real. Like this is the kind of crap that people, yeah, here you go. Anyone who takes advantage of another that is weaker than them does not deserve to breathe the same air as the rest of us. I'm sorry, but I love that comment. I really do. I love that comment. It gets back kind of to the mean people suck thing. And I know that was off subject, but I wasn't letting that one go. I like this too. I'm not an animal lover. I just like cruelty. I don't like anybody that. It's the same reason that no one wants to see. That it's the same reason that convicts hate people that touch kids. Right? If you use your dominance to hurt something because you're tougher or stronger than him, that's just probably about the pinnacle of evil on this planet. And I guess that level of evil rises depending on how they're hurting that. But someone that takes pleasure from that probably needs to be removed. Honestly, people who take pleasure watching somebody else hurt or watching something else hurt probably shouldn't be on planet Earth. And maybe that's a mean thing to say, but I honestly believe that we'd have a better society without those people in it. I've heard other people say this too. It's not. I've heard other people on the boat say this. That this is ultimately why I hate killing bugs. I hate them and they freak me out. But ultimately, I feel bad for killing something that I just don't like. I feel like Hitler. I get it. I've had other people say it. And I don't go out of my way to kill anything with the exception of that being spiders. And that's just because anything that can scare me that bad deserves to die. I'm sorry. But I don't take pleasure in killing anything else. But spiders, anything that can scare me that much probably shouldn't be around. Especially if it weighs 1/1000th of my body weight. Like that spider scared the hell out of me. I just really have a problem with them. I really do. Yeah, I've done this with squirrel, but with squirrel gets under my feet. Like she's done it 2 or 3 times, and usually I just will allow myself to fall down and hurt so that I don't hurt the cat. But yes, I have seen a camel spider. I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean that. Um, Pets are amazing. There is there is a they really bring something into our lives that I don't know I don't get from anything else. Right? Thank you, ZW. In spite of the fact that you're breaking rules, I really appreciate you. And this is one of the great comments of all time. I'm sorry. Spider fights. That I could sign on to. That's that's the best comment of the day. Susie, that is the best comment of the day. When I was a kid, earwigs freaked me out more than anything in the world. Those are those things with the little pinchers on their butt. They freaked me out more than anything in the world when I was a kid. You know what? You guys are on fire. You guys are on fire. Dogs are some of my favorite people. That really is awesome. That really is awesome. Where am I? Where am I? I am the exact same way. I used to hunt, but my views on those things changed a decade ago, and I don't even have it in me to kill most insects. Huge respect for all life. As a kid, I used to hunt because everybody where I lived did. And the first time that we actually successfully took something down was the last time I ever hunted. It wasn't my thing. You know what I did the following year was I went back out and I used a camera and I had a telephoto lens on it. And I got the same satisfaction as anyone else. I went out into the woods. It was the same game, right? I had to hide. I had to, it was all the same thing. But I took a picture of it. I still have the picture of it, and the thing got to run away. It felt like hunting. It was a lot. It certainly was a lot safer. And I think I was smoking pot at the time, which probably wouldn't have been a good thing with a gun, but with a camera, it didn't matter much. But I did. I used to hunt with a camera, and I thought it was really cool. It was still fun. I still dug going out in the woods and doing all of it. I just didn't want to leave anything dead. But yeah, even I can go into my photo album and look at deer I took a picture of, all those years ago, but left. And I know that hunting is required to thin the herds, and I get all that stuff. It's just not. I don't want to be the one to do it. That's my personal thing. All right, people. I'm about 5 minutes early, but you know what? I love you guys. I'm going to go connect with some people in person. This is about the most digital connection I can take in one day without passing out. I promise you. Tomorrow, I will be on with Relatable Reese over on Relatable Reese's channel. I'm very much looking forward to that. I think this ought to be a lot of fun. And you know what? Look, I'm not mad at anybody that hunts either. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I'm not mad at anybody that hunts. I get it. I get it. I get both sides of every argument. I'm boring as hell. I probably seem like I don't take a side, but what I've realized is that with what I do, if I take a side, somebody might hear the side I take, the side they don't like me, go somewhere else, and maybe they won't connect with all of you. And maybe they won't leave a comment that says, the people in this channel have kept me sober, right? And it would really suck if my political views ran off somebody, right? So I'm going to keep them to myself. It just seems to make sense, you know? But it's really funny. I love it when people fire off and at least once a week, somebody will accuse me of believing the exact opposite of what I believe politically. And it just makes me laugh. I think I love it when somebody, like I'll get hate mail that calls me a Republican and I'll get a hate mail that calls me a Democrat and I'll get this, like within 2 days, I'll get them. And I'll just think that's ironic. But it just depends on what time you hear me, I guess. Because if I'm talking about social issues, I probably sound very much like a left-wing person. And if I talk about financial stuff, I probably start going the other way. You know what? Look, I'm not, I won't even sing the Itsy Bitsy Spider for the record. I didn't even like that song as a kid. I didn't even want that song sung around me as a kid. Like, I really don't like them. Good question. Isn't this an excellent question? Holly Lewis says, why are the dealers killing off their clientele with fentanyl? Thank you. Well, the fentanyl is coming from one place, right? And that place is the beast from the east, the big red country that doesn't like us. They're sending all of the precursors to make this to the cartels in Mexico. And the cartels are sending it across the border, basically at the strength they're being told to. There's no other explanation. If you're a drug dealer and your product kills someone, you make it weaker. You don't make it stronger. Every time they bust a batch, it's a little bit stronger than the previous one. That doesn't make any sense. They're doing this to kill people. It's plain and simple. I mean, your quality control is good enough that 60% of all of the pills are deadly, right? 60% of all pills that they've been busting are over 2 milligrams. Now, you get a bust in one place, you get a bust in another, you get a bust. That average is staying the same, which means there's some quality control, right? They're just choosing to kill us. That's what's happening, people, whether you like it or not. Drug dealers don't make their products stronger after people start dying. They make it weaker. People start dying, you make it stronger, and then you add in another drug, xylazine. And it's just all wrong. You know, it's all wrong. And I lost a friend, not the one you're thinking of, because that was the most recent on the boat. But I lost a friend, and his autopsy had xylazine in his system. And he was not in a part of the country that we would have assumed that was likely. But this stuff is getting everywhere. And Rolling Stone, bottom line is, this stuff's designed to kill. And I don't think it's an accident that it's, you know, we're losing our number one cause of death in this country are the people that would have to go fight if the crap hit the fan. 18 to 50-year-old guys, right? Women too, but the vast majority are 18, you know, to 50-year-old men. And that's awful, but that's where we're at. And this is why we keep screaming about China White was just a better drug, right? China White was diacetylmorphine made in the lab, right? So it was heroin for all intents and purposes. Fentanyl is so much stronger a drug that you're not bringing people back from it. That's the problem. Like, you're not bringing people back from it, and it's causing these colossal numbers. And you know, the numbers aren't real, people. Like, I'm saying 350 because I'm quoting what they're telling us, but I promise you, when it comes out, just like I said it the last time and the time before and the time before, their numbers aren't going to be right. They're going to adjust them. It's going to be higher than what they say. And They're manipulating the crap out of them to make them lower. They are. They underreport fentanyl overdoses dramatically. Dramatically. And there's a lot of different ways that happens. Yeah, earwigs. I shouldn't. Yeah, you know what? On the bright side, I didn't bring those up. Somebody else did. You can't pay for that one. People, we made it through another one, right? Now, go journal and do what you do. We're going to get back together tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. I assume right after all of you will have just finished journaling, right? Tomorrow is not just another Monday. Oh, I've done that. Bruce, I've done that. I did that for one entire summer. That was my only drug. I got a connection, and for an entire summer, I could get boxes of all at once. I was buying boxes of fentanyl patches, and that's just what I did. But I would extract the gel out and throw it into a spoon, and then cook it. We're all lucky to be here, man. Every single person here. It's amazing just how fragile and just how rugged the body is at the same time, right? Same with the mind. Yeah. So, between now and tomorrow, people, I want you to do me a huge favor, right? If you are someone that believes in prayer, please pray for Lady Crispin, right? She's going through it. And if you're not, then you can send positive vibes or do whatever you do, but whatever you can send her way, she's really going through it, people. And you know what? She's probably one of the kindest people on this channel, truthfully. Cares about everybody. And she would be the first to be organizing this if it were somebody else. So thoughts and prayers for her. She means a lot to this boat, and she means a lot to me. All right? We'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless. Oh, I think I owe you a cat in a basket. Boy, you know something? This one is so worth it. Look at this cat. Can you see that head? Right? That is a very unconscious kitty cat. Oh, you are so cute. All right, peeps. We'll see you tomorrow. Squirrel nut.